those Kardashian type romances that start with fireworks, private jets, rose petals, and declarations of forever love in week 2. The ones that look like the modern fairy tale. But then suddenly you hear whispers of control, chaos, or the whole thing just crashing down in flames. That's love bombing. And it might feel like the most intoxicating romance of your life. But the question that we're asking today is it real or is it a red flag? I'm gonna break this down. We're sitting on the couch here together with our tea in hand, watching a Kardashian love montage, while I point out exactly where it feels magical and where it veers into dangerous. Because love bombing isn't just about roses and I love you texts. It's about psychology, attachment, and why so many smart, capable people get swept up into it. Now let's be honest, if you've been love bombed, you probably remember it as one of the most dizzy highs of your life. And it feels like someone finally sees you. They're obsessed with your laugh. They say things like, I can't believe I finally found you. Where have you been all my life? And they want to spend every moment with you. They want to tell the world about you. They want to spoil you. And they want to lock in the relationship as fast as possible. And if you're watching this and you're nodding, I want you to know that you're not alone. And there's no shame in it. Love bombing works because it taps into deep human needs. Our need to be chosen, to be adored, to be prioritized, especially if you've been through loneliness or rejection or a toxic relationship before. And if so, being love bombed can feel like medicine for your soul. But here's the danger. What feels like medicine in the beginning can turn into poison if it's not real intimacy. And it's rather a manipulation tactic. Just think about it. How many times have we seen a Kardashian romance splashed across the headlines where everything just looked epic in the beginning? Flowers that covered entire hotel suites, customized cards, matching tattoos, after only a few weeks of being together, and the public is just swooning over that. We eat it up, we double tap, we repost, we say, wow, that right there, that's relationship goals. But then give it a few months and those headlines just shift. And suddenly it's not, look at this epic love story. Instead, it shifts to inside this explosive breakup, or something like why friends were worried. That right there is the cycle of love bombing in real time. It's a hyper-intensive beginning that can't sustain itself. So let's name it. Love bombing is when someone overwhelms you with excessive affection, attention, gifts, or promises very early into a relationship to gain control, to gain power, or rapid emotional investment. It's not the same as healthy enthusiasm, because healthy love says something like, I'm excited to get to know you, and I'll show you that through consistent, steady actions over time. On the other hand, love bombing says, I'm going to make you feel like my entire world today so that you'll depend on me tomorrow. And here's what I need you to know as a counselor on the internet. If you've fallen for love bombing, that doesn't mean that you're foolish. It just means that you're human. Because love bombing is supposed to work on you. It's designed to feel irresistible. But part of healing is learning to slow down, to ask, is this love or is this a red flag wrapped up in Chanel packaging? Let's walk through how it feels step by step. You meet someone and within hours, they're telling you how different you are. They're texting you good morning and good night. They're sending you coffee orders to your office. They're planning weekend trips before you even made it to date 3. And it's flattering, it's intoxicating, especially if you've been through a dry season of dating, where people barely put in effort. And suddenly you have someone putting you on a pedestal. How could that not feel good? Your brain just floods with dopamine and oxytocin. And that's the same brain chemicals that release during physical intimacy, chocolate, even addictive drugs. And that's why love bombing feels so addictive. Your brain actually starts to crave the rush that you feel from it. So now here's the psychology. Love bombing works because it's unpredictable. In the beginning, it's constant attention, constant intensity, but very soon after, it just flips. The affection cools, the texts slow down, the praise that you used to get gets replaced by criticism or by withdrawal. Then your brain starts to panic and it starts to say things like, what happened? Where did that intensity go? And so what you then start to do is you start chasing. And you work even harder to get back to that high that you were feeling. And this is how love bombing creates a trauma bond. You're not in love with the person. You're in love with the chemical roller coaster that they've created inside of your brain. And in celebrity culture, we confuse this trauma bond for epic romance because the beginning looks like a dream. It looks like fantasy, luxury, and devotion. But behind the scenes, what looks like passion is often control. I want you to remember that intensity is not intimacy. Drama is not devotion. If you're sitting here and realizing, oh wow, this might be what happened to me, I want you to just take a deep breath because you are not broken. You are not crazy, and you are not alone. The fact that you can even name this now, that's you stepping into power. So now that we set the stage, let's actually break it down. How do you know when what you're actually experiencing is actually love, and when it's a red flag dressed up like a fairy tale? I'm gonna walk you through the clear signs of love bombing and keep it fun. We're gonna Kardashianize it, because honestly, celebrity culture is a perfect mirror for how love bombing plays out. It plays out big, bold, public, and way too fast. Remember when Travis Barker covered Kourtney Kardashian's world in roses? Or when Kanye filled entire arenas or hotel suites with flowers for Kim? We see that and we think, wow, that's romance. That's proof of love. But here's the thing, gestures don't equal intimacy. Healthy relationships build trust through consistency, not grand spectacles. When someone is flooding you with over-the-top gifts, trips, or public declarations early on in your relationship, that's not about you. It's about control. They're creating an image of themselves as the ultimate partner while skipping the slow process of actually getting to know you. And if you've ever had someone do this, you might have thought, finally, someone who goes all out. But ask yourself, is the gesture for you, or is it for them and their image? And would they still do that if nobody was watching? Kardashian romances often go from 0 to 60. 1 minute it's we just met, and the next minute it's engagement rings and matching tattoos, or moving in together. It feels like skipping chapters straight to the ending. And love bombers push intimacy fast because speed is control. Because if you don't have time to slow down, then you don't have time to notice the red flag. And it feels flattering. They just know that I'm the one. But really, it's about locking you in before you can think. Because healthy love is steady. It's not rushed. And it's okay to let a relationship just unfold slowly. Because the people who truly care about you will want to build something that's lasting, not something that's just intent. And you've seen the headlines. You've seen couples post each other 24/7 with every story, every picture, and every caption is about their love. And then suddenly, nothing. Just radio silence. So then fans start asking, wait, are they even together anymore? Love bombers flood you with attention. They text every hour. They constantly call you. But then out of nowhere, they pull back. And that right there is what hooks you in. And your brain gets addicted to trying to win back that initial flood. And this is not your fault. The silence is designed to trigger the panic inside of you. Because a healthy partner doesn't just disappear to create anxiety. They communicate even in conflict. How many Kardashian romances have played out in the spotlight? Lavish Instagram posts, stage paparazzi photos, everything curated for public consumption. It looks glamorous, but sometimes all of that display is covering up instability behind the scenes, because love bombers often want the relationship to look perfect to outsiders. They'll post constantly, they'll brag on you, they'll show you off. But here's the catch. For them, it's about the performance, not the connection. You have to ask yourself, do I feel cherished in private or only displayed in public? Because love that's only loud when it's on display is not intimacy, it's branding. And we've seen the celebrity quotes where someone says, I knew they were my soulmate the moment we met. I mean, it's romantic headline material, but real life, it's more complicated. And love bombers use soulmate language to create a fantasy bond. They'll say things like, I've never felt this way before, or you're my forever, or where have you been all of my life? And because those words tap into deep attachment wounds, it just feels irresistible. And true soulmates are built, not declared. Anyone can say the words. It's the actions over time that prove them. And tabloid headlines love to spit it as, they're so obsessed with each other. But when obsession shows up as control or monitoring or jealousy, that's not love, that's insecurity. And love bombers often disguise jealousy as devotion. And they'll say things like, I just can't stand the thought of losing you, or I love you too much to share you with anyone. But what they're really doing is isolating you, because healthy love celebrates your independence, and red flag love tries to shrink your world down so you revolve around them. We've all watched the celebrity couples burn hot and fast. Lavish beginnings followed by messy public implosions, and that crash is the final tell. And the biggest sign of love bombing is the crash. The grand gestures fade, the affection dries up, and suddenly you're left confused and hurt and wondering what went wrong. And that's because the entire relationship was built on intensity, not real intimacy. Because love doesn't vanish when flowers wilt. Real love sustains itself in the ordinary, not just the extraordinary. So is being showered with attention always a bad thing? No, because healthy partners can be generous, affectionate, and enthusiastic, but the difference between between the two is the consistency. Healthy love keeps showing up when the cameras are off, and love bombing can't. And that's why we have to keep asking, is this love or is this a red flag? Dressed up like a Kardashian style fairy tale. So we've talked about the signs. We Kardashian sized it. We've pointed out how love bombing can feel like fireworks in the beginning, but then burn out fast. Now let's just go a little bit deeper. What happens after you've been love bombed? How does it affect your self-worth, your trust in love, and the way you show up in future relationships? And most importantly, how do you protect yourself moving forward? Because yes, love bombing is a red flag, but it's also an opportunity to heal, to learn, and to never settle for drama disguised as devotion. What happens is someone is left questioning themselves, doubting if they'll ever find something real, and sometimes even repeating the same pattern with the next partner. Love bombing leaves a mark. It can make you doubt your judgment and say things to yourself like, how did I fall for that? It can condition you to equate chaos with passion. It can lower your self-esteem when the highs turn into criticism or abandonment. And it can create trust issues that bleed into your next relationship. And this is not just emotional, it's neurological. Your brain literally wires itself to crave the highs and the lows, making you more vulnerable to future toxic bonds. And if this is you, just pause and breathe. You are not broken. You were targeted because you have a big heart, not because you're weak. Have you ever noticed how even when a Kardashian breakup is big and messy, sometimes they still circle back? Reconciliation on again, off again. That right there is part of the cycle. That's because love bombing doesn't just hook you in the beginning. It pulls you back even after the mask starts slipping. We stay after the bomb because we're hooked on the hope of getting that initial high back. And we think, maybe if I just try harder, we can get back to how it was in the beginning. But here's the truth. The beginning was never real. It was curated, it was performed, and it was designed to trap you. But healing comes when you learn to give that safety to yourself so you don't have to chase it in someone else. So if someone is rushing, overwhelming, or skipping steps, I want you to hit pause, because real love doesn't need to be fast. What real love needs is to be steady. So try asking yourself, how well do I really know this person? Ask you, do their actions line up with their words over time? When you see celebrities jump into whirlwind engagement, ask yourself, do you think they've built the foundation, or are they running on adrenaline? Because anyone can love bomb you for a month, but watch how they treat you when the spotlight is gone, or when the stress hits, or when you say no. Ask yourself, are they kind when you're not at your best? Ask yourself, do they respect your boundaries? Because consistency is the love language of safety. And love bombers use language like a drug, like soulmate, forever, destiny. But words, they're easy. What you gotta watch for is action. Do they show up when it's inconvenient? Do they respect your pace, or do they push theirs? Because it's important that you keep your friends, your hobbies, your space. And if someone tries to make themselves your entire world, then that's not romance, that's control. And just think about how often celebrity couples merge identities so fast that they lose themselves, only later to say, I don't even recognize who I was in that relationship. And here's the most important part if you've been love bombed. Your healing is not about shame, and you heal by rebuilding trust in yourself, learning to notice the difference between intensity and intimacy, giving yourself the slow, steady care that you deserve. Even in the Kardashian world, after every dramatic breakup, there's always a reinvention, a comeback, and that's the lesson. You can take what you've been through and transform it into strength. So let's answer the question. They love bomb you like a Kardashian romance. Is it real, or is it a red flag? And the answer is that it's a red flag every time. Because real love does not have to perform. It does not need a stage. It doesn't burn out as quickly as it started. Real love grows slow, steady, and safe. And if this hit home for you, remember this. You deserve a love that doesn't confuse you. A love that doesn't make you doubt yourself. That doesn't hook you with highs and abandon you with lows. You deserve a love that feels calm. A love that's safe, and a love that feels like home. And if you're ready to go deeper, to understand exactly why love bombing feels so addictive, why it feels like a fairy tale before it becomes a nightmare, stick with me for the next video, because we're breaking down the psychology of love bombing step by step. So I'll see you there.